Hello, everyone. Mike here, founder of Magnus Box, here for another edition of our monthly Q&A. Today is Wednesday, June 16th, and I am honored to have the one, the only, the man behind the curtain, Seth Byrne. How you doing today, Seth?
Doing pretty good.
And our last-minute addition to our group of misfits here, we brought on the one and only Barry Arndt, from the founder of Think Easy IT. How you doing, Barry?
Excellent, brother.
I'm glad you were able to come on. I just gave him the heads up like 30 minutes ago, like, Barry, you're going live with us. And he's like, I'm on it. So not only is Barry a Magnus Box partner, but he is also honored to be one of our moderators in our partner group. And I want to personally thank him and all of our moderators for keeping my sanity in check. So, Barry, you want to jump in, and do you want to give some Magnus Box love and talk about how Magnus Box has helped you out? Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely. So when Mike started Magnus Box, I was very interested in the program that he's offering, the software he's offering, the solutions that he's offering. So we used to use some other vendors I'm not going to mention, but I wasn't happy with them at all. First of all, I will say Magnus Box support is top notch in my opinion. If I need something, those guys are on top of it. The training's great. I know Mike's always working on making videos and educating all the users and on how to utilize the software. So it's been a great thing. We do an all-in plan for a lot of our managed clients, and we just kind of include it. And we had to do a couple restores. I had to do a reimage of a machine, and I can't tell you how wonderful it worked. I mean, it just works. And I like the fact that I can utilize that same license to be able to back up to a Synology NAS. So I got a backup copy locally of my images plus my files and folders. And if something were to happen to that, then I can push it or pull it from the cloud down to a PC and making a thumb drive and utilizing that to boot off of that. It's been great. So, I haven't had any issues with Magnus Box at all. Everything's been working great for me. So thank you, Mike.
Yeah, Barry's my other sanity check. Whenever I'm struggling with a problem, I'm like, Barry, I just chat him on Facebook, and I'm like, hey, I'm having a problem with XYZ. What do you think we should do about this? And it all comes back to community. We want to be a part of the community with our partners, and that's why we're here today. And that's the number one thing I will have put on my headstone, that we are here because of our partners. We wouldn't exist without them, and that's why we take their opinions and seriously. So I know you've made some suggestions in the past, Barry, and we've always tried to implement them for you.
Yes, yep. And like I said, I mean, if you haven't tried Magnus Box yet, and by the way, Mike, I shared this out to the computer support group as well. So for folks that are in there that are looking for a backup solution, if you're looking for something that meets the bill, check them out. I mean, at least do a demo, and see it for yourself, see what you think about it. But I've been extremely happy with the setup and how it works. I mean, we got a contract and we got clients in Alaska now that we just shipped out some laptops to, that we're utilizing Magnus Box to back up their machine. So if anything happens, we're able to deal with it remotely and get their files back and take care of anything we need to take care of from that standpoint.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome when you messaged me saying that you installed Magnus Box and shipped out 2 laptops to Alaska.
Anchorage, Alaska, yep.
Yeah, and those are some pretty beefy laptops you sent out there, weren't they?
The X1s, Extremes, yep.
I know, those X1s, those are the carbons, aren't they?
Yes, sir.
Lenovo. You're a heavy Lenovo user, aren't you?
Yes, sir. I love my Lenovo.
Oh yeah, I definitely hear you there. But so we're gonna keep you on the chat or on the stream today, if you're
Sure.
okay, Barry.
No,
And,
yeah. Anything you need, Mike.
We got some things we're gonna talk about here. So Seth's just sitting there quietly in the corner. Everything going well lately, Seth? You doing great?
Yep, doing good. I'm enjoying summer. Enjoying the nice weather. Trying to get a little bit of a tan, although I've got a farmer's tan going on at the moment. I've been wearing too many t-shirts.
Yeah, it's finally cooled down in Michigan today, so we're pretty happy about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a beautiful day today. I think 77, so it's like perfect, warm enough for me, but also not where I'm sweating through my shirt. So
it's a nice 70 degrees in the server room here that I'm in, so I don't have any windows, so I'm assuming it's daylight outside. But so the first thing that we're going to talk about today is our Magnus Box Mondays. So we started a video series. We're on week 3 of our series. Now, Magnus Box Monday is a pre-recorded. Maybe someday I'll do a live stream of a 2-minute video, but they're roughly 2-minute videos. We launch them every Monday morning to all of our social media channels. And we highlight either something that's happened in the past week in a ticket where a partner needed help with something, a new feature, or just some best practices. So I think last week I did a 2-factor. And then I think the week before, wasn't it a restore a file, Seth? I believe it was.
I think it was, yeah. Yep. How to select individual files. The
2FA came in because someone asked, like, hey, how do I enable this? And so we do have the option to do the TOTP code and the YubiKey, which I'm more of a TOTP person. So I know like all of our stuff here at Magnus Box, all of our admin accounts, we use 2-factor. Barry, I think you're a huge advocate for 2-factor for security.
Yeah, I think any service that you're utilizing for, especially with client data and for your own sanity and security, everybody should be using 2FA. I mean, all the services you utilize should have that aspect. So that should be one of the first questions that I ask any new vendors, whenever I'm signing up with them or looking to go with their product, is making sure that security's in check and make sure that they do have 2FA set up. So that way I'm doing my due diligence for my clients.
Yeah, sadly, Barry, we log into servers. I mean, obviously with Magnus Box, we launch a backup server for each partner. We maintain admin access so we can, as you said, offer phenomenal support. Otherwise, it's just us saying, okay, Barry, try this, and then get back to us if it doesn't work. You're getting busy, Barry, and you just say, hey, I don't have time to fix this. Then Seth, Matt, or myself, we just jump in there and we go to town and fix it for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, any little, and really they weren't major issues. It was just a learning curve at first when I started utilizing it. But the support team over there really, they take the time and they go through what you need. And once you see how it's done, it's really super simple. It's a little different from some of the other backup services, but yet the easy use is wonderful. So a level 1 technician can easily deploy, set up, and get the clients backed up.
Yeah, and sadly, and on top of that, when we do log into partner servers, we do see a number of partner servers or backup servers, I should say. We call them partner servers. I do see a number of them that aren't using the 2-factor authentication. And just being an MSP, you are a target because these attackers, these malicious attackers, they know that MSPs are the current trend of the industry, managing all these different businesses. And instead of trying to compromise one individual company, they can compromise an MSP. And if they get into your core system, I mean, if they compromise your remote access software, Barry, or if they compromise anyone's and you didn't have 2-factor enforced, there's just a world of hurt that's going to be happening with your business. I mean, we got to be held to a higher standard than our clients. So we want to encourage everyone to 2-factor. And if you don't know how, we have 2 videos on our YouTube channel. You're more than welcome to email support@magnusbox.com. And one of the 3 of us will get that. We'll help you set that up as well. So
yeah, if you're not using 2FA with Magnus Box and you are using it, it takes seconds to set up. I'd really urge you to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to log in, go and click on your name in the upper right-hand corner, go to My Account, and there's an option right there to enable. It's just a simple slider, and it's so simple to do. And we're a 1Password user here internally, so we just click a button and it auto-saves it. So we don't even have to use our phone for it. So definitely.
I was just about to say, 1Password makes it really nice. I didn't know about the QR code button for a while, but it's right there in the toolbar. You just click it, and it takes care of the 2-factor code, and you're ready to rock and roll.
It was hilarious because me and Seth were doing a meeting. We do a weekly meeting. This is before Matt, and I was showing him how I deploy servers, and he's like, "Wait, how did you add that QR code?" And I'm like, "Well, there's a button right there." And he's like, "Well, I was pulling out my phone every time to save the QR code." And I'm like, "Don't worry, I did too, Seth. I did too."
Yeah, that button saved a lot of time.
Are you a 1Password user, Barry?
No, I use Keeper Security.
Oh, there you go.
We actually bundle that with our all-in user model, so we actually give that to all of our clients so we can securely share passwords with each other.
Yeah, and there's so many great software platforms out there for it. 1Password worked great for us because we can granularly control access between our team here and revoke access as well. So it's centrally managed. It's just a monthly bill. It's super affordable. I mean, I don't know how anyone can't use or could get away with not using a password manager these days.
Exactly. Yeah, Keepers does a lot of the same stuff. There's a lot of great solutions out there for password management.
Yeah. So, so every Monday we're going to be launching Magnus Box Mondays. I'm trying to pre-record a video. So if you have something you want to see, like I said, they're 2-minute videos. It's no different than watching a quick Facebook video. So if there's something you want us to talk about in a 2-minute video, it's nice, quick, and easy. Just let us know. Support at magnusbox.com or just drop it in the Facebook channel. So as our next topic that I have for today is our Synology issues. So Seth, I think this is something that you're going to be more on.
Talk about it briefly here. So a little while ago, I think it was a week or a week and a half ago, I posted in the Facebook group just asking if anyone else was experiencing some Synology issues. I had a couple of tickets that came in. The two primary issues we're seeing with Synology are no more space left on the device error, as well as a difference in the size of backups. And so I think we had a question actually before on the Facebook post in terms of regarding when Synology backups are going to come. I'll let Mike answer that, but just kind of talking about where we're at with Synology devices, regardless of if you're using a package or if you installed it via SSH. And both ends, I'm seeing sort of these two issues here. So there's some good news on the update, though. I was working with a partner who, and I believe we've been able to solve the no more space left on the device error. Magnus Box by default will use the TMP directory on Synology devices. And this is kind of a weird directory because I'm not quite sure. it's like technically a partition, but it will resize depending on how much usage is actually needed. So it's a very kind of dynamic storage location. But that being said, it's a lot of times it has a sort of cap in terms of how much space it's actually allocated, like how much space Linux allocates to it. And so for some of these Synology devices, I was seeing where the backups would write to this temporary directory for index files and the different files it needs to deduplicate and kind of maintenance throughout the backup job. And the accumulation of these files in combination with a lack of allocation of additional space led to a bunch of errors that said, hey, there's no more space left on the device during the backup, and it would stall the backup. You have to manually go in and cancel it out. And obviously, this was not desirable. It was annoying. It was an inconvenience. It required more maintenance. So the only way that I knew to solve it prior to last week was to reboot the machine. Anytime you reboot the machine, the TMP directory is cleared. It's wiped, and so the backup immediately following a reboot would usually succeed because that temporary directory is pretty clean. So to resolve it, the partner and I worked, and there's actually a way to modify where the temporary directory is for Magnus Box, and so we just moved it to an actual folder on the file system because this particular partner had plenty of space left on their Synology device. In addition, the temporary directory is cleared after the backup completes, and so it's not going to bog down the system with data after the backup runs. It'll just be during the backup job that needs some space to store, like I said, index files and some of the other maintenance settings during the backup. And so I think that's the solution for that problem. I'm due for a checkup on that device just to make sure that everything is still working as expected. And if that's the case, I'll go ahead and write a KB article on that particular issue. And so that's where that is. In terms of the other issue with the file size disparity, we had some partners who would report, they're like, hey, my Synology is only using 5 gigabytes, but Magnus Box is reporting 500 gigabytes or something crazy like that. And the only thing that I've really been able to find out up to now is Synology does have a sort of built-in versioning control. And so there seems to be a number of, I think the default setting is like 5 copies of the file system. And so I think that might be contributing to why Magnus Box is showing more data. but I'm still kind of working through that and trying to isolate that to a specific cause. So that's kind of where Synology, the issue stands. If you want to talk a little bit, Mike, about where the package stands, or just any other kind of general Synology backup information.
Yeah, and I see we have a lot of questions coming in. We will get to those here in a moment. But just to follow up with what Seth was saying, I wonder if there's like a directory on the Synology, Seth, where Synology is storing those 5 snapshots. Because I've seen that too, where it'll say they have like a terabyte of data, but the partner says, hey, I've only got 200 gigs. And we're like, what the heck? And so we did some more digging, and it seems like there's a snapshot within there. And I wonder if there's just a file folder that's just
there. I saw one partner who it was a hash, I don't know, the £, hashtag, whatever you want to call it. It was a folder with that symbol and snapshot. So that had like I think it was like 17 different like snapshot copies, which is kind of insane. And so once we excluded that, the file size was at least closer to the actual usage, but it was still a little bit off. But I think you're right, Mike. I think there is a specific spot. I just haven't found the exact file path for it yet.
Yeah, and so we'll definitely have to, if we find that, we'll have to get a KB article for that.
For sure.
It's so this, as far as the Synology package goes, I believe Matt pushed out a KB article that has a link to the Synology packages. Now, I'm saying that, and I'm trying not to shoot myself in the foot, because we still have not removed that from beta. And the main reason is because every time we kill one bug, what's that one IT joke as a programmer? You have 92 bugs, you patch it around, then you got 120 bugs.
Yep.
The biggest problem is that like when someone updates from, I think it was DSM 6 to 7, or if there was a major package update with Synology or software update with Synology, like it would just nuke the op directory or something. Which that's where Magnus Box runs. It runs in the op directory, right, Seth?
Yes. Yep. Magnus Box on Linux devices installed in /OPT or the op directory.
Yeah. So we do have those available on our KB articles. If you go to support.magnusbox.com, you can play around. Now you do have to make sure you have the right architecture and the right version of DSM-7. So Matt was very detailed in. If there's a package that we're missing, you can always reach out to support@magnusbox.com. And Matt he's taking a little bit of break from Synology. We got him working on a different project just for sanity purposes. So we'll get him back on there. But there's just so many different architectures of Synology, and we have to have a dedicated package compiled for each Synology. Isn't that right, Seth? From the way he was telling me.
Yeah, I think he was communicating with Synology, like the Synology developer community, and trying to figure out if he could package them all into one. But as of right now, there's a separate download for each individual architecture.
However, if you're feeling adventurous and you want the Synology to work, you can just go through command line. And we do have a KB article as well on how to install Synology or install Magnus Box on a Synology via command line. You just have to SSH into the device. It's not difficult. It probably takes 10 to 15 minutes. Biggest problem is if you type in your password wrong. That's the number one thing we've seen, is that if you type the password in wrong, you got to delete and reinstall the package or the from command line. So there is a couple ways to do it. If it's something you need help with, our team can also schedule a time to do a remote session and set it up for you. But we're hoping someday here this year to have it where it's in general availability. But so it is available. Just be careful with it. I know some partners had great luck with it. Some are having issues with it. But if you do see something, just let us know. Don't just hide it, and just assume we're going to know what's wrong with it. So we love logs. We love tickets. Seth loves tickets. So if you have them, just tag Seth.
That's yeah, sure.
That's payback for posting the other day that it's too quiet, and then all those. I swear.
Yeah, I know.
You posted in our Slack channel that it was quiet, and I kicked you out of the Slack channel. Not really, I didn't, but I can't do that to you. But the next day we had like 10 tickets come in. I'm like, Seth, what did you do?
Yeah, but you posted it on Facebook, so you're like, oh, go ahead, prove Seth wrong.
But they weren't joke tickets; they were actual tickets. So I don't think it really
They were. Yeah, that's fair.
Barry, have you delved into Synology yet, or no?
That's something I'm going to look into, because currently what we do, we use a small PC on site that we have, or we'll utilize one of the machines that is being used a lot, and then what we'll do is we'll just map the drives and back up that way. But I do want to have a offline conversation with you guys about that. Once I get the process down, I work with Linux myself, so once I get the process down, I think that might be the way to go. Just to do it directly from the Synology box directly versus having to map a PC. I think that would be the way to go.
Now, doing it the way Barry's doing it isn't wrong. So mounting the shares to a workstation and having it back up with the Magnus Box software on the endpoint on a workstation and then pulling data from the NAS, that's actually a preferable method. We actually found, Barry, that a number of partners were seeing degraded performance because some of those Synology boxes, Magnus Box does all the encryption on the endpoint before it's sent through the networks over to the network, to the Magnus Box network. And one of the problems that we were finding where, my laptop that's got 4 gigs or 8 gigs of RAM can handle that encryption process, but those Synology devices, especially the lower end ones, that's like $150, $160, there's only 512 megs of RAM. And one of the issues that we determined is that people were complaining of slow upload speed. Well, it was actually the encryption process was pegging out the memory, and it was just slowing it down. On top of that, those lower end Synologies only have 100 meg ports on them. So putting the software on a Synology isn't always a good solution either. If you have a device like a server on site that has a Synology in the network as well, heck, just install Magnus Box on the server, back up the Synology, just create a dedicated backup account that has access to every single file or folder on the Synology, and you're going to be fine. You're not going to have any of these version issues, upgrade issues. It's just going to work as long as you have the right credentials set up.
Yeah, and I recommend just getting you can get a small Windows 10 machine that can sit on site, one of the small, really, really tiny, like a Lenovo Tiny or something like that. It doesn't have to have a lot of power, but just set that on site. You can also use that to remote in to look at other things if you need to, but you can use it for multiple things. But you can just map all the drives for your Synology and just let it do its thing. And it works really well.
Oh, yeah. And we have that with one of our partners. We actually tested having an on-site back server with a partner, and we actually have a device on site so we can remote into their network past the firewall using Screen Connect. So it works. I mean, I was going to do the same thing before we sold our MSP. So I was going to start deploying dedicated like Nooks. I mean, especially like a Nook, you can get those things for like $400 or $500 on Amazon. I'm an Amazon fanboy, so yeah, I use it for everything. So don't hate me. It's convenient. So is there anything else we have for Synology, Seth? I think we kind of beat that one to death. I mean, I would love to have the packages like all perfect. And it's not just a Magnus Box issue as well. We reached out to another company that's doing the same thing we are, and they acknowledged every single pain point that we were having and confirmed that Synology is not an easy platform to develop for. I mean, you were in that meeting, weren't you, Seth?
I was, yep. They mentioned there's a number of different issues like we already talked about. The fact that the major upgrade will remove the OPT directory. If there's some of the tools that it relies on, like curl or wget, if those are missing, then that causes additional problems. So it'll be a work in progress, and like Mike said, it's still in beta. But hopefully we can continue working on it and refining it until we're to a point where we're pretty comfortable with saying it's official and all set to go.
Yeah, and speaking of beta, I'm gonna use this to segue into Office 365 beta. So we have, I think, 7 or 8 beta testers that are currently using the Office 365. So just for the beta partners, we already chose the people that are in the beta. We're not accepting anyone else at the moment, just so I can also keep my sanity. I notice I say sanity a lot. Gotta keep my sanity while doing this. So we launched 21.6.4 last night, and we're going to be pushing that out to our beta partners to fix some issues with the Office 365 backup. We are seeing some issues with SharePoint backups, so we're working with our dev team to resolve those. And that's the beautiful thing about beta. You get early access to this feature. there's a chance it's going to break some stuff. So that's why we have contracts in place for that now. But so we did email all the beta partners last night, notifying that 21.6.4 is available. We also posted the changelog to our website, magnusbox.com. And I'll have that pushed out later today or tomorrow morning. So nothing major, just fixing some Office 365 stuff. So as far as pricing goes, I still haven't made a decision yet. I'm kind of shooting for the $2 to $2.50 an account mark. And the only reason I'm reaching towards the high end is I've seen some of you guys are hoarding some data on those SharePoint servers. You guys got to delete some stuff someday, but we have to account, not only do we have to account for the support in that pricing, and we also have to account for the storage that, you know, we got beat up for this by a partner that didn't sign up recently, and that, you know, we charge more for server licenses, and that's because there's more data. And even though it's unlimited data, I assure you that data does cost something, right? Nothing's unlimited, is it, Barry? I caught him off guard.
No, you're fine. I was responding to something. No, you're right.
So, I mean, what are you currently paying with your current provider? I don't want to drop any names, but what are you currently paying for your? Are you doing Office 365 backups right now, Barry? And how much are they costing you?
About the same price that you're talking about.
Like $250?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, and it works well. But if I could get it all in one architecture versus have, like, you know, if I can utilize Magnus Box just for all my backup needs, then that way I only got one dashboard to deal with for the backup. So that's a great idea you got going on there. So I'm excited to see which way that goes.
Now, do you have anyone hoarding any SharePoint data?
Yeah, we do.
But I was just curious because I know the pricing is always the hard thing. I mean, everyone wants it at like $1.50, but that's with them bringing their own data from their current provider, you know, with whoever they're at. And that's what we've seen on the low end. But if we're providing the data and providing the support, it's got to be just a little bit more to justify it on our side as well. Because, you know, we're not benefiting anyone by taking a loss on a product that we launch. You know, MSP's got to. We do too.
We leave those decisions to you, Mike.
That's, you know, we try. And that's, you know, we'll put a poll out eventually. I mean, I got to really figure out how much data people are hoarding in their SharePoints and go from there as well. So, but I don't think I have anything else for Office 365. So let's jump into a few quick questions. I see quite a few popping up on my feed here. So I just figured out how to do this. I could put comments on the screen, which is amazing. So Kyle from 2KR IT Solutions is my first one to pick on from YouTube. Going great today, Kyle. Two-factor authentication should become compulsory, I believe. I agree with you. And I believe if we're right, if we have it in there, is we're going to try to push for the dev team to make it so we can enforce 2FA, which I think is a great thing. You know, if you don't have it, it forces you to set it up. We do plaster in all of our welcome emails to enable two-factor authentication, how to do it, and we even link to videos in our welcome emails. So we're doing as much as we can at the moment from a best practices standpoint, but we definitely want to have that enforcing. So we're going to try to put that out there as well.
And I agree with that. I think that you know, that should be something that should be mandatory, especially in today's world.
Yeah. I mean, between reusing passwords, two-factor, you know, you got to have a password manager and you got to have two-factor. There's no way around it. We're going to title this show the Two-Factor Show. Okay, so Alex, you're interested in Synology backup, so definitely check out the KB articles where you can install it you have to manually install it. So that's something I forgot to add is, you know, one of the things that really pushed us back is Synology made it sound like we could publish our app to their store, but then they came back and said you have to have 50,000 active users. So I think we're at like 2,844 devices when I checked this morning. Barry, you have a lot more promoting for us to do in the channels. You really need to step up your game, my friend. And Barry does get paid commissions as well. If anyone that's a Magnus Box partner, if someone drops your name, we'll pay you for your platform fee. So I mean, I
Yeah,
think
hook a brother up.
you know, if we're in the area, you know, at TechCon, we'll get you a drink, you know, something, you know. But Synology is there. We have someone here saying that I'm not sure who this user is. StreamYard doesn't like to show if you don't accept to their terms. So it says, I have an issue with the backup showing offline and the PC is online, and I do not know how to fix this. So you want me to take this, or you want to, Seth?
I was gonna say, I on Facebook it shows their username, so I did I replied to them. I don't know if they saw it yet or not. But I checked the server logs. I didn't see any login issues there. Sometimes it'll show up if there's an invalid authentication. Sometimes it doesn't. If you could send the error in either the Facebook group or in the ticket, that'd be great. That would really help kind of try to isolate the problem. Just kind of look at, I think you had made a couple other comments. If the password hasn't changed and the username hasn't changed, maybe check to make sure that the login URL is correct. Sometimes that gets changed for whatever reason. That can just be in the advanced options. Trying to think of other things. Maybe I wouldn't think that shouldn't be an antivirus, right, Mike? Antivirus is normally just when it's running, or
so Barry knows exactly about this issue because he just messaged me like a day or two that he went to do an upgrade and one of them didn't come back online. So Barry, what happened with that?
It was Bitdefender, so I had to put a rule in place to not block it. So actually, when you go to install it, it would pop up and quarantine it. So I had to allow it, put in some logs to allow it. So you know, that could be antivirus, or maybe maybe something going with the firewall blocking a port or something that's not allowing it to communicate back. I don't know, but just a guess.
Yeah, because we did push an update a couple weeks ago, so maybe it might be related to that. If it warranting the update, might be shutting it down.
Yeah, and that's the problem is that, so whenever I push the update, it's always in my office, and my wife's computer is next to me, Tracy, and whenever I push the update, I can hear it coming down, and I can hear the antivirus alerting that a virus was detected. And you know, it seems like Bitdefender, Avast. We actually have a KB article. If you just search support.magnusbox.com for antivirus, you'll see we have submitted numerous reports to Bitdefender. The problem that we have is that we have 190 active partners with devices, and every partner has their own branding, and so reputation is huge with Bitdefender in any of these platforms. And so they'll see the code, and it'll have this name, it'll have Magnus Box, and then you have Barry's code that has ThinkyZIT on it, and so it doesn't get that reputation. So the best bet is to whitelist certain files and folders and submit it for whitelist. And I mean, I know it's a pain, and we have reached out to Bitdefender, and you know, it's a constant battle. Our software is code signed, which helps with a lot of the problem, but we got, speaking of that, we got to renew that license next year. We should probably start early, Seth.
Sounds good.
I regret not going for the 3-year code sign certificate now. Live and learn, right?
Yep. Is that the one where we have to log in to every partner server and update the code sign certificate?
We got to update the certificate and the key. And I tell you what, getting that certificate is not an easy thing. Like I wanted to white label the certificate so it didn't say Magnus Box, because it shows up when you're installing. It says publisher Magnus Box. And I wanted to do easy dash backup. It has to be a legitimate company with an EIN number that's registered, and you have to prove that you're a legit entity. And so it's going to stay as Magnus Box.
Quick question, Mark. If you didn't do the custom branding and you just did the Magnus Box installer, would it still flag it?
Less of a chance. And so that's where we see that's when we see a lot of partners have issues with devices going offline and not coming back online, is because when we push out the update, the antivirus sees this command coming down and the software coming down that a user didn't initiate, and it just freaks out. It's a beautiful process, and it's a messy process at the same time, because we can single-handedly issue an update command to 2,800 devices in one push. So it's going to be a lifelong battle, I feel, Barry. So what else do we have in the questions here before we move on? I want to thank you, Kyle, for going in there and helping out as well. Oh, there's Seth right there. He commented. So, oh, Intermedia. So I believe I know who that one is from. We're just going to throw that on the screen, that nice little one. So one of our beta partners, unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately because it makes it sound like it's a bad company. Intermedia is not compatible with Office 365 backup. So if you're using, I think Pax8 is fine because Pax8 goes directly through Office 365, but Intermedia is using their own hosted Exchange servers. I think there's another one. There's Intermedia, and then there's another big Office 365. I used to use them with my MSP. I don't remember who it was, but if they're not using Office 365, you can't use the Office 365 backup. It's got to be straight through Microsoft because a lot of these third-party companies like Intermedia are just hosting their own Exchange servers. And unfortunately, at this time, maybe in the future, we can back those up. But right now, it's not a possibility. Your best bet if you're using Intermedia is just to set up a backup on the computer and back up the PST or the OST file. And then SharePoint is backed up, Kyle. It can be backed up with Office 365 backup. We are running into some errors with it. I got 2 tickets with beta partners right now that I'm trying to resolve. I've never used SharePoint in my life. I'm a Google Drive person. I think Seth's a Google Drive person. I don't know what you are, Barry. Are you a Google Drive, or where do you hoard your data?
We use we're a Dropbox partner, so it integrates it. We're Google Workspace and Dropbox partner, so it works really well together. I like the ease of security within Dropbox on the business side. It makes it really easy to control how users get and look and access data. So you've got a really nice way to control it.
I hear you there. I definitely hear you there. And on the opposite side of Dropbox, I know there's OneDrive, and Office 365 backup will back up OneDrive. Right now, if you want to back up Dropbox with Magnus Box, the files aren't actually stored on the endpoint, and so you have to go into the settings, I believe, and uncheck a box to actually store them locally.
Yep.
So we're going to throw that out there. So we got just a few last things that we want to talk about. Seth's got something important for anyone who's listening who wants to demo Magnus Box. Seth, do you want to break in? This isn't really going to pertain to existing partners, but we got some exciting things coming for demos.
Yes, for sure. And so before I start, I was going to give credit where credit's due. Matt's kind of been the chief architect on this project. He really likes big projects and stuff like that, and so he's really been leading the charge on this next endeavor, which is improving our trial sign up or our trials. So as most of our existing partners know, we offer a 7-day free trial to allow any potential partners to experiment with the platform, maybe get used to it, the interface, check out the interface, run a couple of backups and stuff like that. But as it is currently, that trial is created as an individual user account, and so all of the trials don't have administrative access. However, when you sign up as a paying partner, you do get an admin account. And so the trial isn't really indicative of the entire Magnus Box platform, at least not to its true form. And so we've always kind of been interested in finding different ways to offer that admin view to our partners, or to their trial users. And so, like I said, Matt's been making a lot of good progress. And so I think within the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to launch basically the admin view for trial accounts. And this is done by basically isolating the part of the platform dedicated to a specific user. So for example, if Mike signed up for a trial, we would isolate part of our trial server specifically to Mike. So he would only be able to access his users and his devices, but he would still have the full admin access to view things, add users, delete devices, view the recent activity page, which is my favorite page. So he'd have full admin access, and then when he went to go sign up, the interface would look the exact same, because it'll be the full admin access. So that's an exciting project that we've been working on. I spent last week updating our existing infrastructure to make sure that we can identify those new trial accounts, since they are organized a little bit differently. and I'll continue that work this week. In addition, we're hoping to maybe make it so we can actually migrate existing settings from a trial to a paid account. I know that's probably one of our more common requests. Once someone decides to sign up after having a trial, they're wondering if they can just migrate everything and kind of hit the ground running. Unfortunately, we do since we do spin up a new server for every partner. The existing progress they made on the trial is kind of reset, but hopefully with this new organization approach, we can help basically. So basically, if Mike wanted to sign up, we would say okay, and we'll migrate all of his config settings and all of his devices to the new server directly from that new segmented trial account. So very exciting, and hopefully it'll help anyone demoing and trialing our platform to get a little bit better understanding of how to interact with it from a admin side.
Yeah, and that was one of the downsides of our demos, is it was a 7-day trial, and basically all you get is the endpoint software. You can put it on 3 devices, and that's it. And I've always agreed that you're not getting the full experience to make an educated decision, because you're losing a whole vital component of making a decision whether to join Magnus Box or not, which is the admin portal. And it's just too much of a hassle to spin up a server for 7 days and then have to delete it if someone doesn't want to join. And so this is definitely a step in the right direction. I mean, and we're hoping to be able to, like Seth said, you would have to before lose all the data that you just backed up on your demo account. And now we want to be able to migrate you to a permanent server once you decide to sign up, and you don't lose a thing. You just keep on going. And it's definitely something that Matt has definitely been spearheading. Seth has been handling the back end coding of integrating everything. And like our weekly sync meeting that we have every week, I mean, I was just blown away yesterday with the amount that you and Matt have put into this. And I just want to thank you for all the hard work you guys have been putting into it.
Yeah, happy to help. It was pretty fun showing off some of the changes. It's like, hey, let's go play in the changes, because a lot of times most of the stuff that we do is sort of, beneath the surface, under the hood type stuff. But a lot of this last couple of weeks has been a lot of front end oriented, and a lot of changes kind of with our internal interfaces and stuff.
Yeah, and we're hoping to use this for current partners as well going forward. If we need to move their instance to another node, we're hoping to streamline a lot of our internal processes. So that's what Matt and Seth's been doing amazing work on internal systems, which is all about simplifying the partner experience and making everything easy. And so is there anything else you want to discuss on that, Seth?
No, I think that's it. We'll just continue working on it. I think, like I said, an ETA for that is about 2 weeks. So if you were to sign up for a trial right now, you'd still get that restricted user account. But I'm going to shameless plug here. If you want to see the admin side, you can always see that through a demo by scheduling at our Calendly page. I think there's a link to that in our website. You'll also receive a link if you do sign up for the trial in the welcome email as well. So until we implement that, a demo is also a great way to go and view the platform from the admin side.
And if you want to see the admin portion and you're not a partner yet, and and you're afraid, you can sign up and just pay for the 1 month. And then if you're not happy, we don't do commitments. So I mean, if Barry got mad at me tomorrow, he could up and leave. I mean, we don't hold anyone to a contract. That's one of the things when I built Magnus Box is I'm not going to force you to stay if you're not happy. I mean, that's why I don't do contracts. That's the first reason. Number 2 is I would need another person to manage those contracts. So, Barry, part-time job, contract management,
Yeah, we do the same thing with our MSP. With our MSP clients, we don't lock them into we do month to month with them. If they're not happy, by all means, I don't want to deal with an angry or upset client and have to deal with it for a year. What we do is for our MSP side, we just make them pay an additional month to covers our time to pull the software off. I haven't had that happen yet, but if it were to happen, it's what it is, and I don't have to deal with it. Then they're free to go to whoever they want.
Yeah, I know everyone says contracts are important. Now, contracts are important in an MSP when you're trying to sell your MSP. I just want to lay that out, because when we sold our MSP, that was one of the things that we got nicked on from the buyers, that we didn't have contracts for our, but You treat them good, they're going to stay. You treat your clients well, they will stay. Just like we treat our partners well, they're going to stay with us. So I think that's everything I had for today. The only other thing I want to do is a shameless plug for our buddy Jeff Hallish, Paco LeBron, and John Maven. Did I get it right? Seth, is it John?
John Dubinsky, yeah, that's his last name. Yeah.
Oh man, John's gonna smack me for that because for all of you that don't know, John was one of our very first two partners at Magnus Box. He was there, and him and Joe were the ones that really got us started and legitimized what we're doing. But I'm going to do a shameless plug for TechCon Unplugged. TechConUnplugged.com is the website you're going to want to go to. The Magnus Box team will be there in Chicago, and we are actually sponsoring the event and have a booth. If you're not going, you should definitely look into going. I believe the tickets are $199. I'm looking it up secretly as I'm going through here. It's September 17th through the 19th in Chicago, Illinois. It's going to be at the Aloft Chicago O'Hare. And I believe tickets are $199. If they're not, Paco's going to yell at me because I just gave a discount or something. Nope, they are $199. Includes all meals, snacks at the event, dinner on Saturday evening, and useful and wholesome content, networking, and business strategy. So we are one of the sponsors. They have some great topics. They're going to have the social meetup on Friday. They're talking about protecting your clients from getting hacked. How you should build out your security stack. Acronis will be there. There's just a lot of good stuff. So if you're interested in looking into that, their website is techconunplugged.com. So Barry, I just want to thank you personally for being a good friend. How can any of our partners get a hold of you if they want to talk about or get a hold of you?
They can message me on Facebook. They can get on my website, thinkeasyit.com. And there's a chat link there. They can email or phone numbers there, whatever they want to do. And on a side note, it looks like I guess I'm going to Chicago then.
What?
I said on a side note, it looks like I'm going to be going to Chicago.
Yeah, you definitely should. I'm dragging Matt and Seth there.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm going to be exploring Chicago. No, I'll be at the event. So we're hoping to have a nice booth set up. I went 2 years ago, and I tell you what, I felt like a noob sitting in with all these other vendors. I just had stress clouds, stickers, and 3D printed business card holders. And I tell you what, I think I held my own, but I tell you what, it was definitely a learning experience. There you go. Look, there's one of the business card holders. But I tell you, it was an interesting jump going from MSP to MSP vendor. I don't regret it. I love what I do. So, Seth, if anyone wants to get a hold of you, how can we get a hold of you? Besides, I don't want to give out your cell phone number because you might get mad at me. But how can we get a hold of you that you're okay with?
So support, I'm always in the support channel whenever I'm on the clock. I've got our ticketing system open in another tab. If you want to reach me directly, my email is seth@magnusbox.com. And I was going to give my phone number, like the company phone number, but I don't know it off the top of my head. So.
His phone number is 989.
Right.
So again, my name is Mike. I have the honor of being the owner of Magnus Box and being part of this great community that we have built along with some great staff that we have. So if you need to get a hold of me directly, you could email Seth at Mike at magnusbox.com. You can also email support@magnusbox.com if you have any tickets. And our phone number, I looked it up as I was stalling. Our number is 1-888-933-2975. And that will go right to this phone during business hours. It won't go to my phone outside of that. So again, it was a pleasure with everyone that stayed listening and tuned. We will be doing these monthly about the middle of the month, and so just keep an eye. And you guys have a safe week. Get some time off, relax, enjoy some sunshine, and enjoy your day. It's good seeing everyone. Thanks for stopping out.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mike.